All right. Recording. All right. Okay, I think it's recording. Um, Hello everyone. My name is Braden Weston. For those of you who don't know me, let me just show my screen real quick. And today I will be talking about criticism and feedback in the workplace and in school, and the differences between the two. We hear about both of these concepts all the time, but we never really talk about the differences between the two because they're not the same thing. So to start off, I'm sorry. Um, there are different types of criticism. Obviously, it can come in many ways: constructive, destructive, positive, negative, etc. There's so many different kinds of criticism, and you can look it up on any different website or any article, and they'll all tell you different kinds. Um, but we've always been taught, regardless, to accept criticism as feedback and look at it as a positive thing. And that's because most of the time we are receiving constructive criticism, like in the peer reviews and the peer edits that we are doing specifically, like in this class, specifically for this assignment, actually, which is kind of ironic. But, anyways, the point is, most of the time we are referring to constructive criticism, which, you know, is considered to be a good thing, but it's still not the same thing as feedback. As a matter of fact, Forbes, they have an article titled 12 Counterintuitive Practices for Long-Term Success. And the very first counterintuitive practice on the list, number one, was welcoming criticism. It states in the little paragraph that it had next to it that we all have blind spots, but successful people acknowledge them and actively search for meaningful feedback. So, something to keep in mind. Before I actually get into the differences between criticism and feedback, I wanted to talk about just the baseline, the definitions that kind of make the framework for these differences. So, criticism is defined as the expression of disapproval of someone or something based on perceived faults or mistakes. So even just the definition is kind of portrayed in very negative lights using negative words like disapproval and faults or mistakes. So just by the definition, this is from Oxford, by the way, it doesn't seem like something very positive. Whereas feedback is defined as information about reactions to a product, a person's performance of a task, etc., which is used as a basis for improvement. So the key components of this definition were reaction to something, and is used as a basis for improvement, which neither of those things were mentioned in criticism. And so that ties into this slide. I have a little graphic here that I found on, it was actually in another article by Forbes, but it was from an article by Benedictine University. And it talks about the 5 essential differences between criticism and feedback. So, criticism focuses on what we don't want, feedback focuses on what we do want. Criticism is focused on the past, feedback is focused on the future. Criticism is focused on weaknesses, feedback builds up strengths. Criticism deflates, feedback inspires. Criticism says, you are the problem. Feedback says, we can make this better together. So, again, this ties back into my previous slide with the definitions. Criticism is portrayed in a very negative light, whereas feedback is something positive and something that focuses on the future and building up to get better for the future, whereas criticism is about focusing on negativity in the past. And so the solution to give effective feedback, because obviously being a management major myself and just being in a management class, we want to be able to give each other effective feedback and not just criticize each other. So again, I used Forbes, an article from Forbes titled The Art of Giving and Receiving Feedback. And it basically talks about how to give and receive effective feedback, as opposed to criticism, of course. And some of these methods include saying thank you and nothing else to show gratitude, and not come off as defensive. just saying thank you, will let your peer or whoever's giving you feedback know that you are taking it in. You're not looking to defend yourself. You're not taking it in an offensive way. Another one, don't wait until problems become bigger problems. Know you can do better and don't wait to be called out. It's not what you say, it's how you say it. Your tone often impacts the type of reaction that you will receive. And this is a big thing because we don't really think about the way that we're saying things and how different people will react differently. So your tone of voice and how you say things and how you give your feedback, like you want to say something in a more positive way, because if you say something kind of negative, obviously that's leaning towards criticism, and people will take it in as criticism and not respond positively to that. And then finally, sometimes the best feedback is the kind that we didn't know we needed. So a lot of times when we get graded or we get feedback on things, it's little things that we didn't even notice in ourselves that other people will pick up on, and they'll only point it out because they're giving us feedback and they want us to succeed. So that was kind of my little TED talk on the differences between criticism and feedback, and how feedback is obviously completely different than criticism. And it's something that we need to pay more attention to and be mindful of the way that we are giving and receiving feedback in class and in the workplace. And then here is my work site. Thank you.